Hi there, it's Tara, she of all things transformational guidance coaching, transformational body work, and for our purposes here today, transformational yoga. So today we're going to explore tree pose. And I know that a lot of times in my videos I'm talking about the anatomical aspects of the pose or part of the body that we're working with. But today I just want to talk about the metaphor because trees are amazing, first of all. But second of all, they're such an inspiring metaphor for people, but also for yoga practice. You know, a tree, I've never seen a tree that's perfect. There's no symmetry in trees. And guess what? There's really very little symmetry in humans. I mean, we're more or less, you know, basically balanced from right to left. But I have, as a massage therapist, I have touched thousands of bodies. And I can tell you that there is a lot more asymmetry than symmetry going on. And this is true with trees, right? But somehow, despite their asymmetry, they find symmetry and balance. And, trees have inherent movement, even though the trunk is stable, hopefully, right? And the roots are well rooted and hopefully giving the tree that stability from underneath the earth, the soil and the earth, that helps it to go up, because something always needs to go down for something else to go up. This is some laws of physics, right? So those roots are what give the tree the ability to grow up and to have all that asymmetry because it's got the structure to support it. Isn't this what we're all striving for? Enough support so that we can grow, flourish, and emerge as is most authentic and best for us. And shouldn't we always welcome a little flexibility even when we need to be so strong in life? We need to have a little flexibility. You know, if a tree can't move in the wind, it's going to be more likely to snap. And this is how people are. We need to have a little flexibility in life when things are, challenging. And that actually gives us more strength. That movement in a tree, or really in any plant, is what creates strength in the plant's structure. So, how blessed is that inspiration for us to kind of embody. So today, when we go through these, just a couple little poses to kind of help us on our way to tree pose, vrikshasana, when we go through these couple little poses, I'd love to encourage you to think about a tree that you really connect with, or maybe you're out, maybe you can actually, do this outside, or maybe there's a tree you can look at out your window or something like this, so that you can actually bring your presence into connection with the energy of the tree. And next time you see a tree, next time you can, actually take a couple seconds or maybe even a whole minute to connect with a tree. How about connect with the tree? How about really look at it deep examination of the bark, deep look at the way the branches are and the leaves and the gentle sway, and look at the roots. And how about touch it? Yep, I'm a tree hugger. It's true. Touch that tree. Trees emit energy. And if you get quiet enough in yourself, you may be able to feel that energy, and you may be able to send the tree some of your own energy too. So, how about giving a little bit of homage to the trees while we do the practice, and then off the mat too. So we're going to do a couple poses leading up to the pose. And I chose this wall because it's got this line, these lines, here. So you'll be able to sort of see how I use the vertical axis to help me with these poses and setting up for tree pose. And if you can find a wall big enough to use, that's great. If you can't, you can omit the wall and just do this practice without a wall. And then other than that, I'm just going to use one block today. And in fact, if you didn't have a block, you would be fine as well. So no worries about that. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do Tadasana pose. So at first, when I do Tadasana, I'm going to use this line. So you can see how this line is going to show you my vertical axis. And I'm going to stand without doing anything to help myself stand better or more in alignment. I do have my feet basically parallel. I do have them more or less lined up with the anterior hips here, not the outer hip, because this is flesh, adipose tissue, muscle, etc. We're going to go to this bony protrudence in the front of your hips, and you're going to drop that down to the center of your feet, more or less. And we're going to call that hip width apart, okay? So I'm not going to alter my pose. And if you look, you can see how I'm pitching forward a little bit. And that's natural for me and probably natural for a lot of people. So for Tadasana, mountain pose, what helps us to become more stable on the vertical axis is if we lift our toes up and bring a lot of the weight distribution to the heels. So just pause with the toes lifted and then enliven the back of the arms, the triceps, the back of the hands. Notice how the shoulder blades will slightly draw together and down when you do that. You may start to feel a little bit of tone in the front of the thighs with the quadriceps and a little bit of tone in the belly, but hopefully not too much, because we want to feel the sternum having a bit of lift rather than sag. And I'm not forcing this lift, it's just happening because the extensors of my body are lit up here. I can nod the head a couple times, and I'm going to organize the head in the way that feels most light to my shoulders, and that is with a slight lift up the back of the head that drops the chin just a tad. Eyes can close or stay softly open, and you can let your toes down without rocking forward. So I think you can see by the yellow line on my wall that I'm staying pretty true to the vertical axis right now. And so taking a deep breath, exhale, we'll release. And this time, what you're gonna do is you're gonna back up to the wall, and you're just gonna leave we're gonna put about 3-4 inches between our heels and the wall, and nothing else in the back of the body is gonna touch the wall, except you're gonna just tip back and let the back of your head touch the wall. Okay, so now from here with the toes pointed forward, you're going to press the feet strongly into the floor, slide the back of the head up the wall, and then bring the backs of your hands to the wall and press. So feet press down, hands press back, back of the head slides up and back. Take a couple breaths. This would be hard to do without a wall, but even a door works just fine. After about 3 to 5 breaths, you can release all the pressing and allow yourself to just float away from the wall and do nothing for a moment. Take a couple deep breaths. This is also Tadasana. Light and easy. Good. Okay, so now that you have a feel for Tadasana in your body, we're just going to do a couple poses to start to wake up the openness of the inner thighs and tone of the external hip rotators a little bit. So I'm going to step forward with my right leg, and we'll use the block here. And we're going to open up the back leg pretty big, so it's a pretty big, generous step. Now my back toes have a little bit of a turn in, and my front toes on the right foot are just pointed forward. Front heel aligned with the back arch. This is a pretty standard alignment for a lot of standing poses in the yoga practice. Now we're just going to bring the block down in front of this left calf. And now what I'm going to instruct you to do is allow your left hip to come to the wall, and you're going to slide the left hip back towards the side of the wall that the right foot is on. So you can even use your hand to slide back. Slide it back, and you can notice as I slide it back, I start to fold. So I'm going to reach forward with the left hand until I can reach no more. And when you can reach no more, you can bring your hand down to the block, and then take your right hand to the hip and rotate until you feel your right shoulder blade on the wall. And then from there, you can open the right arm up. Now, if you're on the tighter side, maybe you never bring your hand to that brick. Maybe you keep the hand on the thigh. I'm more interested in you keeping length on both sides of your torso and having this left hip moving back. So that'll cause the right hip to roll over a little bit. That's what I'm encouraging you to do, okay? And so if you're on the more open side, maybe you have the hand, further down, you flip the brick down, or even bring the hand to the floor behind you. And I'm using the wall, so I have my raised hand against the wall, and it's helping me to inform my upper body to rotate open to the right. Another breath or two. The stretch should be on the inside of the left thigh, not so much on the outside of the right hip. And then from here, you're going to take that brick with you, come up. You're going to place the brick on the outside of the left knee, between the knee and the wall, as you bring that knee to 90 degrees, or at least as close as possible. So if you can't bring it to 90, you do whatever is best for your body. And now we're going to come into warrior pose. So again, I'm going to invite my right shoulder to come back towards the wall, and then open up both arms. And I'm going to give a lot of energy to the outside line of my right leg and pinky toe, and a little bit of contraction to the pelvic floor. Good. So we want to make sure that brick doesn't drop. That's the idea, is it's keeping us engaged in the external rotators of the left leg. Another breath or two. And release. You can take that brick, come back, either spin around or find another wall or whatever you got to do. And we're going to make sure our step is generous. Have that brick in front of the right leg. Remember, the left toes have turn in. Very important, okay? Heel to arch, alignment. And then you can allow this right hip, so be close enough to the wall that you can allow the right hip to touch the wall, and you're going to slide the right hip back to the left. Slide the right hip back, reach forward with the right hand, and then you're going to drop the right hand either to the brick, at whatever height is appropriate for you, to your shin, to your thigh, and if you want, you can bring the left arm up, bringing that left shoulder to the wall. Oh, and I did forget that part where we brought our hand to the hip, but it's okay. The idea is that you're spinning open in the upper mid back. So whatever that means, have as much height as you need so that you can get that rotation open. Take a couple breaths. Turn the head so that the neck is comfortable. You don't have to look up. You can look across the room. You can even look down. Try not to drop the head, but also try not to, as I like to say, jack the neck up. Exhale, come up. You can take the brick with you. And then we're going to place that brick between, I need to back up a hair. You're going to place the brick between your outer right knee and the wall. And so make sure that you stay aligned with your right knee over the right ankle. Then we'll open up, take about 3 to 5 breaths. You're going to give a lot of energy through the pinky edge of your back leg, and you can bring your right sorry, your left shoulder blade towards the wall a little bit. Good. And release. You can take the brick and just set it to the side for now. And we'll come back to Tadasana. And you can check in with Tadasana for a second. I love to check in with Tadasana between poses. So bring the weight to your heels with the feet parallel, hip width, as in your hip bones, width apart. Take a breath. Feel the effects of the poses. Good. So now we're going to root down a bit through this left foot. So you're going to feel the left foot become the more dominant foot. And I have this beautiful slanted wall here that's really easy to reach over and touch. But if you feel like your balance is a little shaky, then just find something else that you can just gently touch off to your left, or put a chair or something there, whatever you need to do. Don't avoid this, because this is important for building core strength and maintaining stability in life, okay? Very functional here. So I'm gonna put the weight on my left foot, gather in my abdominal muscles a little, gather my pelvic floor up a little bit, and we're just gonna raise the right leg. No big deal, right? Good. So you can see I've tipped a little bit off because the line is my vertical, plumb line. You can see I'm tipping a little bit, but I'm doing my best to stay in that Tadasana essence. And then we can open up the leg to the right. Good. And then place it back down with as much control as you can. And we'll go to the other side. So form a good root through your right leg. Pull up through the pelvic floor, up through the abdominal wall. First we'll raise the leg forward. If you need to touch something, you have it to your right. Using that midline energy, okay? And then open the leg up to the left. Good. And then coming back down and out. Good, so you feel how you've activated some core here, and we activated some length strength, some leg strength in the previous poses. And now we're going to go into the tree pose itself. So again, if you need to have something to touch, have it off to your left this time. And we're going to find that really, really great root through the left foot, okay? And so you see me hiking my pants up because I'm going to give you a bunch of options about where you can put your right foot in this pose. And one of the options is really high up in the groin crease. And so when I do that, I want to get all the fabric of my clothing kind of out of the way. So first things first, let's establish the root in the left standing leg. So you have an essence of Tadasana, and then you're going to give a turn out to the right leg, and at least see if you can balance with the right foot leaning or touching the inner left ankle. If you've got that, maybe you can do the inner calf. Notice my body wants to slouch over to the left. I'm going to draw in and up through the midline as best as I can. Okay, if you've got that, cool. Avoid the inner knee, and perhaps you can come up to the inner thigh. I think this is the hardest spot. I like it the least. So I like to come all the way up. I'm moving my fabric out of the way, all the way up into the groin crease. Keep your eyes fixed on one unmoving spot. I'm going to look away from the camera. And I'm going to pull in through the left outer hip. Draw up through the midline. Steady my breath. You can bring the hands to prayer, or you could be touching something with your left hand if you need to. And then coming out. Come back down to Tadasana. Guess what? If you were watching me, you would have seen me wobble. Because am I perfect? No, I'm not. I, like the trees, am imperfect. I move in space. So am I eliciting that energy in the midline? Yes. Am I quieting my mind? Yes. Am I doing my best? Yeah, I am. Is it perfect? No, it's not. So I don't want you to care about perfect. I want you to care about nurturing the process. Okay? So let's try it on the right side. I'm going to find that root through the right foot. I'm going to draw up through the midline, up through the pelvic floor. Turn the left leg out. Left foot to the inner right ankle, calf, inner thigh if you want, not the inner knee, or all the way up into the groin crease. There's a little notch there that you can kind of press your heel into as you pull the right hip towards the midline. Breathe, focus on one unmoving spot. Try again if you come out, it's okay. Hold something with your right hand if you need to, that's fine. Maybe the arms can go up. You can separate the hands or keep them together as long as the neck is okay. And come out and come to Tadasana, mountain pose, and pause and breathe. So what's great about balance poses is that for many of us, they're challenging. There are some people for whom balance poses are just the easiest thing in the world. But for a lot of people, they're very, very challenging. And so if you're one of the people for whom balance poses can be somewhat challenging, then what they do is magical, because what they do is they bring us into focus. Because what I've noticed is that if I am drawing on my breath and I am keeping my eyes fixed on one unmoving spot and I have quieted my mind, my balance pose is going to be much more steady than if I'm looking around me, if my mind is all over the place. I don't balance very well under those circumstances, and many others don't either. So balance poses are like a mini, super focused, concentrated meditation opportunity. And a lot of times people who are scattered, maybe this is something really helpful towards people who have ADHD tendencies, or if you're having a day where you need to, kind of ground yourself and reroot yourself. Well, what's more grounded than a tree, right? So I hope that you have fun playing with this, and I hope that you can embrace the metaphor. I appreciate you watching this video, and I appreciate you giving it that, thumbs up thing that we do when we watch videos that we like, or even just as an act of generosity, right? And sharing it with someone for whom you think this might be helpful or applicable to. Subscribe to my channel. I put out a yoga video every week, midweek, and I put out videos pertaining to the laws of human energy and our minds and energy fields and heart energy when I'm inspired. So I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much. Namaste.